On the night of October 27, 2022, Cass couldn't sleep. In his words, the skies could not stop crying.
Sabi ni Papa, huwag ka mag-alala. Tubig lang yan. Sobra 2:00 na madaling araw nangyari. Nagkaugong. Pagkabukas ko ng pinto, tiba na buong bahay. Pagsara ko ng pinto, paglingon ko kay Papa, wala na siya.
Cass drifted in the flood along with debris for hours and ended up being buried alive in mud. He survived the crushing landslides at the foot of Mount Minandar. But by morning, 27 Tedurays had died, many of them babies and children. This tragedy is a first for Kusiong, a small coastal village in Dato Odinsan Suat Municipality in Maguindanao del Norte Province. The rural community is home to Maguindanaoan Moros or Muslims and the Tedurays. The Tedurays are non-Moro indigenous peoples who compose the majority of Kusiong's population. Yet, they are considered the minority of the minority in the Bangsamoro, a historically neglected and now autonomous region in the country. Before there was a Philippine Republic, the Tedurays had lived in the mountains and by the shores of Kusiong. They worked as farmers and fisherfolk. But Spanish colonizers exploited their labor and then secretly started titling the Tedurays tribal lands.
Wala sa bokabularyo ng aming mga katutubong ninuno na ang lupa pala ay kailangang ipatitulo para maging sayo. Ang lupa ay sagrado sapagkat dyan tayo tumutungtong araw-gabi at dyan din tayo naghahanap buhay. Lahat ng makain natin, lahat ng source na pwedeng para sa atin ay nasa lupa.
Indigenous peoples believe land cannot be owned and measured. It is God's creation intended to be shared by all people. But Maguindanaoan Moros and Christian settlers eventually acquired most of these lands across the province through land titles. Despite the Philippine law that recognizes and promotes the rights of indigenous communities, a law has yet to be passed addressing the ancestral domain issues in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Amid these land and political struggles, the Tedurays have been constantly displaced. Starting December 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic, around 300 Tedurays and Moro families were forced to leave the village's coastlines to resettle at the foothills of Mount Minandar. Pat was one of them. He lived in Kusiong for 28 years until an anonymous handwritten letter found its way to his doorstep in October 2020.
3 buwan lang yung binigay sa aming palugit para lisanin yung tabing dagat. Walang makakausap kung sino ba talaga ang may-ari ng lupa. Basta may mga presensya lang mula dun sa munisipyo.
Community sources say no genuine dialogues and safety assessments were done for the relocation. Protocols were bypassed. The Tedurays believe villages must not be established at the foot of the mountain. The site is a passageway of the spirits, what they call the Maginalo, a corridor between the supernatural world and our world.
Either bad or good spirits yan. Halo-halo na yung mga spirits, di ba? Okay. Kapag ma-disturb yung kanilang silence, so dyan sila nagagalit. Kung magpapatayo ka ng bahay dyan sa mga lugar nila ay maghingi ka ng paalam or you have to get their permission through sa ritual, no? Yun. Mag-offer ka ng mga food or something na something na magsaya yung mga spirits na yan.
Community sources also say political henchmen and heavy-duty equipment owned by the Maguindanao province surrounded their area. Out of fear, the locals abandoned their homes. Bulldozers came to clear the shorelines. Old trees were cut. A Teduray ancestral burial site was even desecrated. Since then, 3 private resorts were built on Kusiong's coasts.
Kung private project yan, huwag mong gagamitin yung government property equipment. Ano gagasolina mo riyan? Ano ikukrudo mo riyan? Siyempre, provincial funds. Tapos yung tao pang gagamitin para sa trabaho.
Cheryl by the Sea Resort now stands where most of the Teduray community used to live. Department of Trade and Industry records show the beach resort is owned by Bai Farisha Lu Sinsuat. The Sinsuats are one of the most deeply entrenched political clans in the Philippines. Bai Farisha is the daughter of Datu Odin Sinsuat Vice Mayor Datu Sajid Sinsuat and Bai Cheryl Sinsuat, the municipality's acting mayor at the time of the forced relocation. Datu Sajid is also the brother of incumbent Datu Odin Sinsuat Mayor Datu Lester Sinsuat. Datu Lester was the vice governor of the Maguindanao province when government-owned equipment was allegedly used to develop the private resorts. Community sources claim Pogi sa Dilim Beach Resort and the Ahayahay Beach Resort were also built over their former homes. Based on an online interview and disaster response documents obtained by Rappler, the registered owners for these businesses were evacuees of the Kusiong tragedy. Rappler has reached out to the Sinsuats and the registered proprietors for comment. They have yet to respond as of posting this video. An analysis by the University of the Philippines Nationwide Operational Assessment of Hazards or NOAA says heavy rainfall brought by severe tropical storm Paeng triggered a total of 498 landslides within Kusiong and nearby villages. 20 landslides fed collapsed material into the stream flowing from the watershed of Mount Minandar down to the devastated settlement. The people weren't prepared for the landslides. Local officials have regularly conducted only earthquake and tsunami drills. The collective memory of a traumatic event in the past became the basis for the village's disaster preparations. On August 17, 1976, a 9-meter-high tsunami slammed Kusiong's shorelines after an earthquake struck the province. This 1976 Moro Gulf quake killed around 8,000 people across Mindanao. Just 3 months before Paeng, international name Nalgi, community leaders and village officials also participated in a hazard mapping activity. They didn't identify landslides as high-risk hazards. The use of historical records or anecdotal accounts as a basis for hazard mapping is called the deterministic approach. But disaster scientist Dr. Mahar Lagmay explains, the probabilistic risk assessment or the PRA mapping shows different scenarios of each particular hazard a place may experience.
We cannot rely on just what we remember. We have to project, we have to anticipate the bigger events than what we remember. And that is what probabilistic risk assessment is all about. That is what the accounts of people tell us. Hindi namin inakalang ganyan kalaki. First time. Every year yan ang nakikita ko.
At present, approximately 1,700 cities and municipalities across the Philippines are still given the deterministic hazard maps for planning against disasters. The government has yet to implement the PRA method nationwide, despite already having recommended the approach since 2017. Lagmay says that had Kusiong used the NOAA hazard map, the disaster could have been avoided.
We know that we need to have better hazard maps. The Filipinos deserve it. And I've seen dead people because of the consequence of the use of these hazard maps. And these people who have seen died don't have voices anymore. They cannot speak because they are dead.
In July 2023, around 9 months after the landslides, the local government turned over 25 housing units to some surviving families. but most remain in makeshift shelters. Beneficiaries have not transferred to the new houses due to their substandard quality. They also fear a repeat of the calamity as the shelters are located in a flood-prone area.
Bahay naman ng baboy yan. Sinubukan ko matulog doon sa loob. Sakto lang sa tangkad ko.
Kusiong was a disaster waiting to happen. When the powerful political elite claimed the land and uprooted the people from their ancestral homes, that put them in the direct path of danger. Heavy rain was all that was needed to trigger fatal landslides. In the disaster's aftermath, the Tedurays families left behind are haunted by this question. Had they not left, would the babies and children still be alive?
Kung hindi sana kami tinanggal dyan sa tabing dagat, siguro kahit isa, walang namatay sa amin. Sa ganong sitwasyon, meron bang mananagot? Meron bang hustisya?
For the Rappler Investigative Team, Chai Hofilenia.